Click. What's up, guys? PlayMat format again. We're doing another deck tech. This time, it is Lurrus of the Dream Den. Bam! It's like this cool full art version of it. This card is it costs 3. You could either tap white or black to summon it. And it says legendary creature cat nightmare. It's a commander, not a companion. So the companion stuff doesn't even matter. So I'm just gonna read off the what it does. Lifelink. And then once during each of your turns, you may cast a permanent spell with mana value 2 or less from your graveyard. So once per turn, you can cast back a creature or an enchantment, just as long as it's a permanent and it's 2 mana or less. You can cast it from your graveyard. Oh wow, so much. Okay, and that was Lurrus of the Dream Den, my commander. Then I put Yahenni, Undying Partisan. He costs 3. He's a legendary creature, Aetherborn vampire. He has haste, and whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, put a +1/+1 counter on Yahenni, Undying Partisan. You may sacrifice another creature, and if you do, Yahenni gains indestructible until end of turn. And then I got Kirk, Son of Yawgmoth. He costs 4, 7 mana, or you can pay 4 and 2 for 6 life to summon him. He also has lifelink, and for each black mana symbol and a cost, you may pay 2 life rather than pay that mana cost. And then whenever you cast a black spell, put a +1/+1 counter on Kirk, Son of Yawgmoth. So you can... No, you can't, because this isn't white and black. But you can rebuild it as a black deck and put that guy as your commander. Then I got Bloodseeker. It's pretty much a vampire deck. There's just a couple of creatures that are not. But I got a Bloodseeker. It costs 2 mana. It's a vampire shaman. It's a 1/1. And whenever a creature enters the battlefield under an opponent's control, you may pay that. You may have that player lose 1 life. Jesus Christ. So much talking. Markov Barn. Yeah. 2, 3. It costs 3 mana. It has Convoke, so you can use creatures to convoke it out. It has lifelink, and then other vampires you control get +1/+1. Or, if you could discard it, you could play it for its madness cost, which is also 3. So, why not just hard cast it? I mean, it costs less if you have creatures out. So, that's what this guy... I got the... the cool version of him. Then okay, take it back. It's a vampire bat deck. Basilisk Screecher. It costs 2. It's a bat. It's a 1/2 with flying, and it has extort. And whenever you cast a spell, you may pay 1 white or 1 black. If you do, each opponent loses 1 life, and you gain 1 life. That's what he looks like. He's pretty sick looking. And then the Starscape Cleric, which is... It costs 2 mana. It also is a bat, but it's a bat cleric. And it has Offspring for 3. You may pay an additional 3 as he casts a spell. If you do, when this creature enters, create a 1/1 token copy of it. It has flying. This creature can't block, and whenever you gain life, each opponent loses 1 life. That's what he looks like. The Unholy Officant, whatever. It's a 1 white mana. It's a vampire cleric. It has vigilance, and you can pay 5 to put a +1/+1 counter on it. If you know how to pronounce that, there you go. Knight of the Ebon Legion, one of my favorite vampires. He only costs 1 mana. You can tap 3 mana. Knight of the Ebon Legion gets +3/+3 and gains Death Touch until end of turn. Or at the beginning of your end step, if a player lost 4 life this turn, put a +1/+1 counter on Knight of the Ebon Legion. There you go. And then I got Emerald Anavides Agar? Yeah, whatever. It's a legendary creature vampire scout. It's a 2/2. It costs 1 white and 1 black. It has ward, pay 3 life. And then whenever you gain life, Amelia, this creature, she explores. And then destroy all other creatures if its power is exactly 20. So it explores. You look at the top card of your library. If it land, you get to play it. I mean, if it's a land, you get to play it. If it's a creature or spell, then you just leave it on top and she'll get a +1/+1 counter. Is that what? I think that's close enough. It's either the land or the creatures that give it a +1/+1 counter. I'm just gonna put that there. It doesn't explain extort. Explorer, but there's other cards with Explorer somewhere. Drona, Liberator of Malakir. It costs 3. It's a 2/3 with flying and first strike, and whenever Drona, Liberator of Malakir, deals combat damage to a player, put a +1/+1 counter on each attacking creature you control. Can get pretty dangerous. Timothor, Baron of Bats. He costs 6. He's a legendary creature, vampire noble. And whenever another non-token vampire you control dies, you may pay 1. And exile the card that died and create a 1/1 black-back creature token with flying. It gains when this creature deals combat damage to a player, sacrifice it, and return the exiled card to the battlefield tapped. So, if the bat token deals combat damage to a player, you get the exiled card that went to the graveyard back to the battlefield. Vito, Fanatic of Alcatraz. He costs 2 and 1 white and 1 black. He's a legendary creature, vampire demon. He has flying, and whenever you sacrifice another permanent, you gain 2 life. If this is the first time this ability has resolved this turn. If it's the second time, each opponent loses 2 life. If it's the third time, create a 4/3 white and black vampire demon creature token with fire. Bam. Vito. He's not as cool as the old Vito. I'll get to the old Vito, but I have to give that one back to JoJo. So it's gonna be a different card. It's destroyed anyway, so it wouldn't be able to sell. Drona the Last Blood Chief. Legendary creature, vampire cleric, flying. Whenever Drona the Last Blood Chief attacks, defending player chooses a legendary creature card in your graveyard. You return that card to the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it. This creature is most creatures in this deck are vampires, but that's what she does. She returns legend. She has your opponent choose his own death.
Pretty much.
Jesus. Creeping Bloodsucker. He costs 2, and at the beginning of your upkeep, Creeping Bloodsucker deals 1 damage to each opponent. You gain life equal to the damage dealt this way. So, you deal 1 damage to everybody, and then you gain life. So, seems like a decent card to have in a vampire deck. Deep Cavern Bats. It is a foil Deep Cavern Bats. Costs 2. Flying lifelink. When Deep Cavern Bat enters the battlefield, look at target opponent's hand. You may exile a non-land card from it until Deep Cavern Bat leaves the battlefield. Then we got Nighthawk Scavengers. That goes in there. It costs 3. Flying Death Touch lifelink. Nighthawk Scavenger's power is equal to 1 plus the number of card types among cards in your opponent's graveyard. Cards in graveyard have only the characteristics of their front face. Well, no shit. But it gets pumped for how many types of creature cards in an opponent's graveyard. Oh, how many types of cards in an opponent's graveyard. So if they had a land, an enchantment, instant, sorcery, creature, so it'll get 5 plus 1. It'll be a 6/3 with flying, death touch, lifelink. I know there's other types, but artifact. Artifact also counts, so it'd be like 7. Then we got Marauding Blight Priest. It costs 3, and whenever you gain life, each opponent loses 1 life. I have another one, but I took it out for a few bats. I forgot what he was called, but he cost 5 mana. That one only costs 3. Bartolome del Persido. It costs 2. It's a legendary creature, vampire knight. Sacrifice another creature or artifact. Put a +1/+1 counter on Bartolome del Persido. I think that's how you say it, but if it's not, you Puerto Ricans should know.
What the hell, Cruz?
It sounds like a Puerto Rican name or a Mexican name. Like, I don't know. I don't speak that language.
Let me see, dude.
And then we got a Sanguine Evangelist. It costs 3. She's a vampire cleric. It has battle cry. Whenever this creature attacks, each other attacking creature gets +1/+0 until end of turn. Whenever a sanguine enters the battlefield or dies, create a 1/1 black bat creature token with flying. So, just bats.
Bats! I don't want to see it.
And then there's a Merkwood Bats. It costs 4. It's a bat. And flying. Whenever you create or sacrifice a token, each opponent loses 1 life. So it's all about losing life. And quickly draining your 3 or 4 opponents out before they kill you.
Pretty much.
Vampire of the Dire Moon, which is one of my favorites. It's a 1-cost vampire that has Death Touch and Lifelink, and it's a 1/1. Attack me, I dare you! I attack you with a 6/6 with trample. That's okay, because now that 6/6 with trample will die, and I'll gain 1 life. My creature will die, but I'll lose 6 life. So basically, I'd only lose 5 life.
Right?
Whisper Drinker. It's a vampire. Whisper Drinker vampire. It costs 2, 1 black, and 1 white. Flying. Whenever another creature with power 2 or less enters the battlefield under your control, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. You tap 7. Creatures you control with power 2 or less gain Death Touch and Lifelink until end of turn.
Nice.
Henrika Demonathi. She costs 2 and 2 black. She's a legendary creature vampire. She's a 1/3. She has flying. And at the beginning of combat on your turn, choose 1 that hasn't been chosen. Number 1 on the list is each player sacrifices a creature. Number 2 on the list is you draw a card and you lose 1 life. Number 3 is transform Henrika and then she becomes Henrika Infernal Seer. She's a legendary vampire that has flying, Death Touch, and Lifelink, and you can tap 3. Each creature you control with flying, Death Touch, and or Lifelink gets +1/+0 until end of turn. So, the first side, and then BAM! She's like, nigga, we're going to war.
What the fuck?
Yeah, that's Denrika. And then we have Thirsting Bloodlord. He costs 2 and 2 black. Other vampires you control get +1/+1. He just punch your vampires. He's a vampire noble or lord or whatever. And then we got Sanctum Seeker. He costs 2 and 2 black. He's a vampire knight. He's a 3/4. And whenever a vampire you control attacks, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. So he's a good one to have. Like if you attack with 6 vampires, you gain 6 life and your opponent will lose 6 life. It's whenever a vampire attacks, you gain 1 life and you lose 1. Your opponent loses 1. Oh, shit. And then we got Blood Artist. Everybody knows what Blood Artist does, but just in case you don't, it's a Blood Artist. It costs 2. And when you play it, whenever creature or another creature dies, whenever this creature or another creature dies, target player loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. So more life and death game. Yeah.
staple for most vampire decks.
And then you got Regal Bloodlord. He costs 3 and 1 white, 1 black. He's a 2/4 with flying, and at the beginning of each end step, if you gained life this turn, create a 1/1 black bat creature token with fly. So, bats are coming out, y'all. It's like Dracula just opens his robes and all these bats come flying. I wish I had a Dracula card. Sanguine Siphoner. Whenever this creature attacks, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. So more attacking stuff. And then we got Baron Bartram Greywater. He costs 2 and 1 white and 1 black. He's a legendary vampire noble. And whenever 1 or more tokens enter the battlefield under your control, create a 1/1 black vampire rogue creature token with lifelink. This ability triggers only once each turn. And then you could tap 1 colorless and 1 black to sacrifice another creature or artifact to draw a card. So more draw. And then everybody knows Vito, Thran of the Dusk Rose, which isn't going to be in this deck. Plus, you can't sell it with that on it. It just ain't going to work. So I have to find a new card to put in this sleeve. But Vito, Thran of the Dusk Rose, it's a legendary creature, vampire cleric from M21. Whenever you gain life, target opponent loses that much life. You could tap 3, 4, 5 creatures you control gain lifelink until end of turn. Okay, that was the creatures for Lurrus of the Dream Den deck. It's pretty much Lurrus of the Vampires deck. It's pretty much what it is. And then we'll go with the enchantments and instant sorceries and artifacts and stuff. Yeah. Painful Quarry. You tap 5, you play this enchantment, and it says whenever an opponent casts a spell, that player loses 5 life unless they discard a card. Make them discard their shit, and then make them lose life when they can't discard no more.
Discard it all.
Dodge Pursuit. At the beginning of your end step, each opponent loses 1 life, and you gain 1 life. So I'm out there sucking blood like a champ at the end of the day. Yeah. Campaign of Vengeance. At the end of the day, there was a war, and whenever a creature you control attacks, defending player loses 1 life, and you gain 1 life. So the war just started, and my vampires are attacking the humans, and there's a big war, but they're losing life fast. You know?
What nonsense are you talking about?
Then we got a Soul Ring again. You can't go wrong with Soul Ring. Bat Colony. The bats need their colony, even though they're getting summoned by Dracula in the background, you know. And yeah, I sound like an idiot. I'm just trying to make it a little more funner, guys. That's it. That's all. But anyway, there's a bat colony. Okay. Cost 3. When Bat Colony enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 black bat creature token with flying for each mana from a cave spent to cast it. So you can only cast 3. Get 3 bats out of it. And then whenever a cave enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. So it gives you creatures, and then it pumps them up if you have caves. Canonized in Blood. 2 mana enchantment. At the beginning of your end step, if you descended this turn, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. You may tap 7, sacrifice it, and get a 4/3 white and black vampire demon creature token with fly. That's dope. Because with Lurrus, since it says 2 or less, you could just sacrifice this, get a 4/4 vampire creature token, and then replay it from your grave. And then Dread Return. It costs 2 and 2 black. Return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. It has flashback, sacrifice 3 creatures. There you go. And we got Mask of Grizzlebrand. Cost 3. Equipped creature has flying and lifelink. Whenever a equipped creature dies, you may pay X life, where X is its power. If you do, draw X cards. And then equip creature for 3. It's a good draw and life gain type thing. Harsh Substance. Cost 1 white, 1 black. Harsh Substance deals X damage to target creature or player. You gain X life, where X is the number of creatures you control. More life drain stuff. And then we got Revival and Revenge. Revival costs 2. And return target creature card with converted mana cost 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Or you can do Revenge, which costs 6. Double your life total. Target opponent loses half their life rounded up. Or you could pay 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and have both. 2 cards at once. But 8's a lot of mana. So if you don't have your Soul Ring, all that, yeah. Rush of Dread. It costs 3. It has Spree. Choose 1 or more additional costs. +1 additional costs. Target opponent sacrifices half the creatures they control, rounded up. +2 more mana. Target opponent discards half the cards in their hand, rounded up. +2 more mana, and target opponent loses half their life, rounded up. So you pay 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 mana, and you can have all 3. And then Increasing Ambition costs 5. Search your library for a card and put that card into your hand. If Increasing Ambition was cast from the graveyard, instead search your library for 2 cards and put those cards into your hand, then shuffle your library. Search card, always good. Lunar Convocation costs 1 white, 1 black. At the beginning of your end step, if you gain life this turn, each opponent loses 1 life. At the beginning of your end step, if you gained and lost life this turn, create a 1/1 black bag creature token with flying. You may tap 1 and 1 black, pay 2 life to draw a card. So more draw. And more siphoning life. And more bats. Phyrexian Arena. 3. At the beginning of your upkeep, you draw a card and you lose 1 life. This is an enchantment. It allows you to draw a card, but you're losing 1 life. But all through the deck, you're gaining life, so it doesn't matter. Beacon of Unrest. Cost 5. And it's a sorcery. Put target artifact or creature card from your graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. Shuffle Beacon of Unrest into its owner's library. So, any graveyard, I could steal a target creature or artifact, and then I shuffle this into my library. Leyline of the Void. It costs 2 and 2 black. If Leyline of the Void is in your opening hand, you may begin the game with it on the battlefield. If a card would be put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, exile it instead. Leyline of the Void. Revenge of the Ravens. Whenever a creature attacks you or a planeswalker you control, that creature's controller loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. Bam. Black Sun's Twilight. You pay 1 and X. Up to 1 target creature gets -X till end of turn. If X is 5 or more, return a creature card with mana value X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. So you get to kill something and you get something back. Grave Endeavor. Oh, that's a creature card. My bad, guys. I had 1 creature card left. Vampire Nighthawk. It has flying, death touch, lifelink. Very good vampire to have in a vampire deck. There you go, Vampy. Grave Endeavor. It has 7. To cast it, it costs 7. Roll 2d10 and choose 1 result. Return a creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield with a number of +1/+1 counters on it equal to that result. Then each opponent loses X life and you gain X life where X is the other result. So you get a creature card with +1/+1 counters on it for the first result, and then you get to drain your opponent with the other result. Then I got a Loxodon Warhammer. Cost 3. Equipped creature gets +3/+0 and has trample and lifelink. And it costs 3 to connect it to something. Elect Shipment. Cost 5. Casualties 3. As you cast this spell, you may sacrifice a creature with power 3 or greater. When you do, copy this spell. Search your library for a card, put it into your hand, then shuffle. So you can search for 2 cards instead of 1 with this card. Oversold Cemetery. It costs 2. And at the beginning of your upkeep, if you have 4 or more creature cards in your graveyard, you may return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Bam. Corrupt. Costs 6 mana, and Corrupt deals damage to any target equal to the number of swamps you control. You gain life equal to the damage dealt this way. Then I have Feast of the Victorious Dead. Costs 2 mana. It's an enchantment. And at the beginning of your end step, if 1 or more creatures died this turn, you gain that much life and distribute that many +1/+1 counters among creatures you control. Vorpal Sword. It costs 1 black. Equipped creature has +2/+0 and has Death Touch. You could pay 5, 6, 7, 8 until end of turn. Vorpal Sword gains whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, that player loses the game. Equipped for 2 black. So that's the Vorpal Sword. Arcane Signet. Y'all already know what Arcane Signet does. There's so many of these. If you have not bought just a regular fucking commander deck from Walmart, which always has one, that's your own fault. Erebos Intervention. You get 1 black and X. You pay 1 black and X. You choose 1. Target creature gets -X/-X till end of turn, and you gain X life. Or exile up to twice X target cards from graveyards. So if someone's playing a graveyard-based deck like you are, you don't want to exile X cards from graveyards. You want to remove something and gain life. But if the other opponent has a better graveyard deck than you, yeah, take out their graveyard and yours. It doesn't matter, just take them out. That way you don't get overrun. Terrain's Journal. Cost 2. You tap it, sacrifice another artifact or creature, draw a card. Or you could tap 2 to discard your hand and transform this card. And when it's transformed, it becomes the Tomb of Alcalazetas. I'm just gonna say Alcatraz. Legendary Land Cave. Tap it to add black, or you could tap it. You may cast a creature spell from your graveyard this turn. If you do, it enters the battlefield with a finality counter on it and is a vampire in addition to its other types. So you could just keep tapping this land and get your spells back. But once the creature dies, it gets exiled. So I wouldn't do that to every creature, but that's what it looks like. And then that's what the back looks like. It's a pretty cool card. Debtor's Knoll. Costs 4, 5, 6, 7. And at the beginning of your upkeep, put target creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. Stealing creature cards from graveyards.
Rude.
Palace Siege. Costs 5. It's an enchantment. As you place it down, you either choose Khans or Dragons. Khan's ability is at the beginning of your upkeep, return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Or you could choose Dragons. At the beginning of your upkeep, each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. So you could either gain creatures back or you can drain your opponent. But you can only choose one. So you know. Crossway Troublemakers is a vampire. Attacking vampires you control have Death Touch and Lifelink. Whenever a vampire you control dies, you may pay 2 life. If you do, draw a card. So more draw. And of course, oh, that was a creature too. What am I doing, man? That's a vampire. It's a creature. It goes in the creature pile. Then we got the Final Parting. It costs 5. You get to search your library for 2 cards. Put one into your hand and the other into your graveyard, then shuffle.
No, that's not
And then we got a Diabolic Tutor. You tap 2 and 2 black, and search your library for a card and put that card into your hand and shuffle your library. More search. There's a lot of search in this deck. Oppression. It costs 3. Whenever a player casts a spell, that player discards a card. Yeah, so that's like basically black and white heaven right there. That's one of my best decks. Anyways, that was Lurrus, the Dream Den. Oh, I forgot the lands. Of course, we got a Terramorphic Expanse. Everybody knows what that does. A Command Tower, Commander's best land. Everybody knows what Command Tower does. I got this Basilisk thing. Enters tapped. You bounce a land to your hand and you get 2 mana. Bajuka Bog. Bajuka Bog. Exile target player's graveyard when it enters. We got the Temple of the False Gods. My Red Landscape. Tap 2, tap it, sacrifice it, get 2 mana of the same type. It has to be the same color. Blast Zone. Blast Zone enters the battlefield with a charge counter on it. You pay X, and X put a charge counter on Blast Zone. You pay 3, and you sacrifice Blast Zone. And destroy each non-land permanent with mana value equal to the number of charge counters on Blast Zone. Then, of course, there's black mana. We got the Pit of Offerings. It's a cave. Pit of Offerings enters battlefield tapped. When Pit of Offerings enters the battlefield, exile up to 3 target cards from graveyards. You tap it for a colorless, or you could tap it to add 1 mana of any of the exiled cards' colors. So, cave. We got Cave of Carlos, which isn't a cave, it's just a land. But it has Cave of Carlos on it. Either tap it for colorless, or you could tap it for white or black, but it deals you 1 damage. Castle Dracula, which is also the Volderon Estates, which you tap it, you pay a colorless, you get a colorless, or you could tap it, pay 1 life, and add 1 mana of any color. Spend this mana only to cast vampire spells, or you could tap 5, tap it, create a blood token for each vampire you control. So, yeah, that's the full art promo that you get when you bought the box for the first time. Castle Dracula. Then you got a Hidden Necropolis, which is actually a cave. Hidden Necropolis enters battlefield tapped. You could tap it for a black, or you could pay 5, tap it, sacrifice it, and then you get to discover 4. Echoes Deeps, which is a cave. You may have Echoing Deeps enter the battlefield tapped as a copy of any land card in a graveyard, except it's a cave in addition to its other types. And then it taps for a colorless. Evolving Wilds, everybody knows what Evolving Wilds does. Captivating Cave, which is a cave. You tap it for colorless, or you can tap 1 to tap it for 1 mana of any color, or you could tap 4, to tap it, sacrifice it, and put 2+1/+1 counters on target creature. Then we got this cool Japanese white land, which is one of my favorites. Then we got this full art awesomeness right here. Then we got a Path of Ancestry. Everybody knows what that does. Another cool Japanese land. Thriving Heath. You play it, enters battlefield tapped, and you choose another color other than white, which would probably be black. And then it taps for white or the chosen color. Then we got Shizu's Death's Storehouse, which is a legendary land. And it taps for 1 black, or you can pay 1 black and tap it. Target legendary creature gains fear until end of turn. Then we got another Mystifying Maze. You tap for colorless, or you can exile target attacking creature an opponent controls at the beginning of the next end step. Return it to the battlefield tapped under its owner's control. That costs 4 mana. Mortuary Mire. Mortuary Mire, it enters, and then you may put a creature card from your graveyard on top of your library. Mortuary Mire. Promising Vein, which is another cave. It taps for colorless, or you can tap it to sacrifice it and search your library for a base land card and put it onto the battlefield tapped and shuffle your library. Volatile Vault. Fault. Not vault. Fault. Volatile Fault. Okay. Land, it's a cave. You tap 1. You tap it for colorless, or you can tap 1 to tap it and destroy target non-basic land an opponent controls. But the opponent still gets to search their library for a basic land. But if they have a pesky land that makes shit unblockable or something, you can sacrifice that to destroy that land. Wind Brisk Heights. Hideaway 4. You look at top 4 cards of your library. You place 1 face down, the rest go on the bottom. It enters tapped. It taps for white, or you can pay 1 white later on, and you may play the exiled card without paying its mana cost if you attacked with 3 or more creatures this turn. So you get a free card if you attack with 3 or more creatures. And then this cool ass Swampity Swamp. Temple of Silence. Everybody knows what it does, but I'll say it anyway. It enters tapped, and then you get to scry 1, and then it taps for white or black. Another Swampity Swamp. Thriving More, which is pretty much the other Thriving. You would call white with it. A Plains, very cool plains. I like these plains because they have dinosaurs. Bruh. Dinosaur sets are the dopest. Dinosaurs. And then we got a Hidden Courtyard, which is basically the same as the black one I showed you. You pay 5, you tap it, you sacrifice it, then you could discover 4. And that was the land base of Lurrus the Dream Den. I'll show you tokens real quick. I got this cool Vampire Demon token. Couple bat tokens from different. This one's a foil bat token. It's a 1/1 bat, black bat token, and then this one's just a regular black bat token from the dinosaur set that came out last year. I think it was last year. And then I got that 1/1 lifelink vampire because that one card. And that's pretty much it, guys. That's Lurrus the Dream Den deck tech on my part. I like vampires, so I went with vampires and bats because, you know, vampires and bats roll together. Anyways, that was pretty much it. If you like cards in the deck, post down below. If you like the deck tech, please leave a like. You know, if you watch all the way through, that's cool too. Also, if the card shop does not take any of these decks, I will be selling them online. I'm gonna ask for about 40 for each commander deck, but you know, you can always bring it down, but I'll ask for 40 and we'll see what we get. Anyways, that was Lurrus the Dream Den commander deck, and this was PlayMat format, KruzMTG, and we'll see you next time. What is all this? I can't pause it.
What is going on here?
You get to see